It will be staying as a recording on a YouTube channel.
Okay, cool.
So, Klaus, nice to meet you again. I guess last time we had a very, very healthy, fruitful discussion. So lovely to see you again, and I lovely to again see that nice, cute otter in the background. Yeah,
I hope you're better. You said you were not well yesterday.
yeah, I'm better now. I'm better now. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for asking. Uh, what time is it there right now? Is it your morning or
No, it's two in the afternoon.
it's 2 in the afternoon? Okay, okay,
Yes.
perfect. Yeah. So what we'll do, Klaus, as we discussed, right? We'll give quick intros, and then I guess the topic is everything about AI visibility, right? We call it how not to become dinosaurs in the age of AI. So we'll cover from that angle that, what are typical SEO, GEO, AEO things and some strategies, some case studies. I can also share a couple of case studies which we have done, some pointed questions on that. You can share the tactics case studies. Last time you told me about prompt research and, prompt, like people don't really focus on research for a lot of this thing. They're just going to implementation of visibility or some small hacks or tactics. Then maybe
Yeah.
some tips about also the right kind of tactics and strategies for brands, industry specific brands. And then maybe something if you want to show for how LLMs can really be poisoned. That was an interesting thing which you showcased to me. I believe if you want, we can include that or we can skip that depending on how it goes.
No.
And then I guess the future, the agentic web of tomorrow. So I guess between
Yes.
last time we spoke and today, there is a new thing which has come, which is WebMCP, which Google has launched, right? Or which is where the agents will interact with websites without crawling them. So I guess that's a new shift. So technology is changing really fast. So last time if you remember, we were speaking that we'll talk about the future trends. How will the websites of tomorrow look like? What the brands of tomorrow should do? And I guess we are very near to that kind of reality within a
Yeah.
week's time itself. So maybe if we can throw some light on that, and we can have a final closing thoughts about uh, you know how to win in the AI age, how to use
Yes.
AI for your advantage, not just for AI visibility, but overall from a marketing GTM perspective. So that's typically the flow. Total of 3 to 5 questions I'll have, and couple of case studies I'll add. Couple of case studies you can add. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes.
Perfect.
Let's do that.
Sure. Yeah. Just Vinayak, are we ready? Pranur, we are ready.
Yes, we are live. We can start.
Okay. Just give me a moment. I'll just. Sure. Thank you. So we're good to start? Yeah. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the Brands of Tomorrow series. And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Klaus, who's co-founder at OtterlyAI, one of the leading AI visibility platforms in the Europe and overall globally. And he'll share some light and he'll kind of decode the entire AI visibility stack with his vast experience of building companies in the past and now, and how he's seeing the entire shift in the AI age of how marketing as a whole is changing, discovery as a whole is changing, from blue links to chatting, how the entire universe is changing, and there's so much hype, so much mess, so much myths about the AEO, AIO, GEO, SEO, AI SEO, everything. So we'll just pick Klaus's brain and we'll try to get the maximum, the best out of Klaus and his experience with Otterly and his other stints on what are the best blueprints, what is the gold standard for brands today, what is gold standard for founders, AI first companies today, and also for the legacy companies, how should they adapt, why should they adapt, how should they adapt, and what is the step-by-step strategy to start to win their AI visibility game. So that's what we're going to be kind of having a conversation with Klaus today. And to kickstart, I'll give a quick intros about myself. As most of you know, I'm Harneet Singh, a serial tech entrepreneur. I founded 5 companies, exited 1 company successfully, running 4 companies. Most recently, the founder of Rabbit AI and a couple of associated companies in the AI age. And basically have an experience of working in the marketing space for the past decade and a half as being board member of an agency, working with 400 plus clients, and also in the AI age for building a lot of agentic AI stuff for marketing. And I'm glad to be joined by Klaus. So Klaus, if you can also give a quick intros about yourself, and then we can kickstart for the session.
Absolutely. Thanks. So first of all, I'm very grateful to be here. We also realized in our prep calls that there is a special connection in how we both like work and mentally tick, because I'm also a serial founder. I founded several companies, always in the MarTech space. So you mentioned you're also, agencies. I worked with agencies my whole life, but I also built a lot of software companies. My first companies I built like 25 years ago when there was not even the term startup. And from there, I think it was good because I had to do a lot of technology back then. I had to really learn it and to do it. Nowadays, everyone is just asking ChatGPT or Claude how it works. And so with that career path, I built several companies, and my previous one was actually deep in SEO and organic traffic. And I, as a marketer and salesperson at heart, very passionate. After my company got acquired and after some time when I left, I thought about where will AI have the most impact. The most impact, I think it will have impact on the whole societies. But first, it will go to marketing, sales, and customer support. And as I'm a marketer at heart, I looked at marketing and, of course, at SEO and search. And back then, it was where ChatGPT didn't even had a search capability. When we thought about we have to do something, the big companies, the SEO companies, they will turn very slow. They're like tankers. We have to build a speedboat that's only focusing on this new thing, and it's not SEO. And this is when we founded Otterly 1.5 years ago, and it feels like it's ages because AI time, you know how it is, Harneet. It's so fast. It's so fast. Every week something new. So yeah, and what I actually also very like, thanks for that, Harneet, and I think that's where our connection comes from, is when you're a serial founder, at a certain point, you're not only aiming for the next big gig where you make a lot of money, but it's giving back to the community. And when we spoke, I also heard that you're doing a lot for the community, and I really like that. And I think these conversations, they're not just about marketing, and they're about giving back. And I really like that mindset.
Thanks a lot, Klaus, and also really like your generosity to come here and share your experience. So let's jump quickly to where the most exciting bombs are dropping. I'm not talking of the geopolitical situation right now, but rather about the AI world. So in the AI world, the entire organic visibility, what do you see, let's say, past 15 years versus now? Top 3-4 trends, if you will objectively put it in numbers, for all the marketeers or aspiring marketeers, aspiring leaders, what has changed past 15 years in one bucket, right? The entire SEO world, and maybe past 1.5 year in another bucket. So what are the top trends, top pointers, which are kind of visibly very, very distinct in these two worlds?
So I think the first thing is, let's call it brand visibility is all you need. I think that's something that when people tell me, oh, it's just SEO, it's not GEO. So I call it GEO, generative engines optimization, and how to optimize for AI search. So I believe it's not the same. It has similar approaches, but first of all, And it's funny because visibility is all you need actually derives a little bit from attention is all you need. And attention is all you need is from I think it was 2017, a research paper of Google people when they kind of built the transformers, which are now the base, the foundation of all the LLM and all the stuff we have here. So yeah, this is a little bit where it comes from. And when we talked last time, I really I saw that. And this is, I think, the biggest change that in former times, SEO was about URL. It was always about website. So you put in a website into an SEO tool, and then you got all the statistics also in the past about this URL, but it was not so much about brand. And brand management was somewhere else, very near to the C level. But actually the SEO people, I never, in current times, when it goes about AI search, I see how also involved the C levels in big companies are, yeah? And that never happened before. And the reason is because it's about brand visibility. Is your brand visible in the age of AI search? So what you said back then, I mean, the last 15 years, I think, first of all, in SEO, things moved slower. That's the first thing. So Google, every few months, there was a new update, something changed. Yeah. The second thing is it was about, as I said, it was about URLs, always optimizing URLs. It was about keywords, so short little wordings. In the beginning, we all stuffed the pages, but actually the whole intent of the website, the logic behind what you read, it just came later. So it moved very slow. Now it moves super fast. I think that's the one that I would also put into the bucket.
Yeah.
What I see now is it was also people, and I see that still people are looking from their own website all the time, and off page is something somewhere else, different teams. Off page is now 95% of all citations, if not 98, are actually outside of your website. So your influence from your own website is rather limited, although it feels like, oh, that's where I can do the changes the most. So I think that focusing and combining teams, digital PR was never connected to SEO. And now they have to work together because press releases, public relations is super important. I think that also what changes is that AI is, let's call it, understanding what you're writing. So it gets more, I think what Google promised, or people at the end said, they understand the intent and so on, but it was always just a little bit. And now AI is fully understanding the intent of a website, can understand what you're writing, in which direction. It changes from SEO short-term keywords, 2 to 4 words, to 8 to 21 words in ChatGPT that are questions, or even longer contextual questions. So I think this is what's changing, but I think the speed is the main also thing that you always have to be very flexible. And it is even more a black box. So Google was a black box, but at least as it's slower changing, people could develop kind of systems and methodologies. But now it's kind of bam, 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 ready this out, ready this in. So it moves fast. It's a black box. You don't know. So I'm always telling Otterly as a AI search monitoring or AI search visibility monitoring tool. And of course, we're also doing optimization. But what we do is there is the black box, and you're throwing different kinds of balls against the black box, and we're measuring how it bounces back. And if it consistently bounces back, and the best ball that bounces back, this is what we can recommend you. But we don't know what the black box does. Yeah. So I'm not sure if I had 5, but tell me if I should think about more.
The entire pretext, the unification, I would say, right? And of course, the black box nature, the even more complex nature. There were 4, but I guess that suffices, and that tells you the entire story from, yes, I also believe all the brands we work with, we see SEO was a slow game. SEO was one of the most, I'll say, underrated, siloed, or kind of sometimes, ignored function within the organizations, because performance marketing was the biggest thing which used to take care of, all other things, and digital PR, and PR is a separate. So I guess things were siloed, and SEO was one subset of the entire marketing thing. But now with geo coming in, the canvas of SEO has really expanded. There is much more and contextualized and relevant traffic which can know about your brand and land to your site courtesy geo, right? So
I forgot the most important one.
the
Sorry
zero
for
click
that.
traffic.
Nah, that's true. So I mean, organic traffic is dropping, especially because of the informational top of the funnel. Whenever you're asking for what is a CRM, where HubSpot built thousands of pages for that, and I looked at actually an old SEO tool, and I looked at the traffic of HubSpot, it dropped 70% in the last 2 years. 70%. The reason is because they had so much top of the funnel content. So AI is eating that. That's over. Gartner says in 2028, there will be 50% less organic traffic. Yeah. And it will not be replaced by referral traffic from AIs because they don't want you, they give you an answer. They don't want you to click on blue links anymore. But I think the most important that I forgot is the last 20 years, Harneet, or 15, we optimized for Google. Sorry, Bing, but no other search engine, especially in Europe and in US, was important, only Google. And now there are more. Even Google is actually 3 engines at the one time. It's Google AI Overviews. It's the old one, actually 4. So traditional search, which gets less and less. AI Overviews, AI Mode, which is the competitor basically to ChatGPT, but also Gemini alone. Right. And then you have ChatGPT. So Google has 15 billion queries a day, while let's say 9 billion bring up an AI overview, and 2.5 billion queries a day from ChatGPT, which is pretty impressive. So they're keeping up the race. There is Copilot, there is Perplexity, there is DeepSeek, there is Grok and Claude, but they are rather small, but increasing fast. So I think that the multiplicity, like the diversity, the variety on engines you have to focus on is also a very important change. And they all have their own kind of way how they work. So not totally different, but slightly. So optimizations have also to be adapted where you're looking. Sorry, that was my 5th one now.
No, perfect, for sure. And I guess that's the biggest change, the maximum, the pace at which these AI engines are getting the user traffic, because brands have to go where the users are, where the population is. And there's a lot of population, right, with ChatGPT coming in. And a very relevant point mentioned on the top of the funnel. So we also have seen, even the brands we work with for the entire content strategy, we've stopped suggesting the tofu content, because what is this, what is that? Most of that is covered in the pre-trained data of LLMs. You don't even need to do a web search or RAG search for that, and they'll automatically answer without even having citations, right? So basically, the content which the world now requires, I'll also come to that part, maybe the second part, content, which is also one of our expertise areas. So that how the content of tomorrow should change, right? So, but what we have seen is content is also changing drastically, how you put it, how you tone it, how you structure it, what kind of semantic meaning or the value that content is carrying, that has become more and more important compared to SEO, where only the keywords or the backlinks would do the job, right? Majorly, if the keywords are rightly placed, you have enough information, right kind of schema is there, H1, H2 tags are there, mostly it'll be okay for anyone, right? Without stuffing the real value in the content. But with Geo, because I say it that way, Klaus, that Google bots were dumb, right? They were deaf and dumb. They don't understand much of the world. They just, okay, hear something, figure something, okay, wait, right? It was more of blind strategy. Then when the BERT and NLP came in, they were semi-blind, right? So Google had figured out some ways, some things. It's like a blind person learns to crawl through the world. So you can't really figure out they're blind, but inherently they can't really understand the human meaning. But with AI engine, I guess AI really has visibility from that angle as well, because AI can really scan through the content and at least convert it into a mathematical format, vectorized format, where it can understand some meaning of what good content looks like, how is it related to the user query, and how much of this is authoritative, relevant, fresh, new, all that stuff. So the game has really changed for the brands. So looking at the trends, I guess we've we kind of see this common trends happening all across. So now let's move to the strategies. So let's say if a brand, let's take 3 examples. One is a legacy brand, which is an enterprise company, and they have to maintain their AI visibility. Think of something like a Nike or a Puma, or a brand of that stature, or a Coca-Cola, right? And maybe Microsoft. That is one. Second, think of a mid-sized company, right? Growing company which is into the e-commerce space. And third, look at a early stage startup. So if we define in 3 categories: enterprise, mid-size, and small medium businesses, if you can share some blueprint for how should they go about starting with their AI visibility practice, like what can they do right now, what should they audit, what should they check, and how do they build a very, very relevant strategy. There is enough information out there, but our purpose is because we want to structure it, we want to put a roadmap to it, we want to hear it from the horse's mouth itself, and then also putting some credible case studies behind it. If you've seen certain brands rising, falling, growing, basis particular strategies. So how do we create an AI? Most of the world knows how to create an SEO strategy, but an AI visibility strategy or geo strategy, right? Overall, generative engine optimization strategy. How should a marketeer, a CMO, a brand owner, or a founder go about making it?
So good question. I would say, and maybe that's a suggestion for both of them. So for the huge brand and also the small speedboats, I'm always suggesting to start now. I think that's the first strategy that I heard too often, we'll wait until this is really, we'll see that this is really something, yeah, or that, tools have developed that you get really accurate 100% bulletproof data, and you won't, because it's always moving on and tools have to keep up with the pace. And we see how fast, GPT 5.4 is out, and just, I don't know, was it a few days when they released 5.3? So start now is the strategy that you have to do right now. Even if you don't have a full kind of strategic project, start with kind of getting your feet, your tiptoeing and trying out and learning, and maybe it's not so strategic in the beginning, but if you're not starting, you're way behind, and your competitors are taking your position in the rankings because they start now. Yeah, so that's the first thing. I'm always calling it, I'm not so much a man of words. I'm more like, I'm very operational. I like to implement. I like to work on things. So for me, I reduced it to a 3-step concept. Yeah, I'm always kind of dumbing it down for me to 3 steps, because I'm 50 years old, so I forget things, so I have to remember them. So the 3 steps for me are that, apart from that, you should have a kind of a strategic clarity about your own brand. Yeah, so how do you position yourself? But that are things that we should have done also before, so that's not new. But as soon as you look at AI search, visibility, geo, you should first consider, we call it prompt research, in the sense of, what are the questions that your customers or prospects are asking AI today to find products like yours or your competition? Yeah, and that's already something where I see a lot of companies failing in the beginning, because they just look at it from an SEO perspective. They're putting in their brands and asking, is my brand authoritative, or is my brand really well in this industry? And that's not the way. You want to see kind of, we call it non-branded and middle of the funnel. As we said, top of the funnel is eaten by AI. So you want to see who are the best players in this, like in pharma for a special drug or anything. Yeah, and that's the first thing. So prompt research, we call it, but this is actually thinking about what your target audience in a specific country. So always we talk about language, we talk about location, we talk about personas, we talk about product categories, we talk about special topics that might be very near to your services. Building there, and when we talk about search prompts, I'm just what I mean is questions that are asked still on Google, where they might also be shorter as before, long tail keywords. So people are lazy. So they type in also kind of still best running shoe for marathon. But then when they're more interested, and especially when they're using ChatGPT and chatbots, then they are typing longer keywords. So that's the first thing. The second is when you have this list of, or this kind of scope for your research, for your prompts, and for what your customers are asking, then you start your monitoring. That's step 2, because you can only change what you can measure. In my past, I was a former Ironman, so I did a lot of training. I did a lot of different disciplines. And what I learned is you can only get better when you measure, and you know when you have to kind of maybe push up a little bit, so you don't get lazy and you're not just training on the same level. So measuring and monitoring is for me very important, and setting goals there. Yeah, where is my biggest competitor? How much difference is, what is the distance to my next competitor? What are they doing? What are we doing? What can we do better? And then last but not least, it's kind of the optimization. And the optimization, it is a very, very broad area. But I think that, so when we split it up, smaller brands can move faster. That's the first advantage they have right now. But on the other hand, bigger brands like Microsoft, they have a vast majority, amount of data already. So there is a lot out. And we know AI works based on amount of data. Amount of data always wins. Yeah. So it's harder for smaller companies right now. I mean, they can still try to go into a niche. They can still try to be on social media and be better in influencing. But in general, so build on the monitoring. But so what I want to say is, in general, it's the same approach. Just for bigger companies, it might, the measuring might go way further. More teams have to be aligned. So they are slower. And this is what smaller brands, e-commerce brands, could leverage to be faster and at certain positions already where the companies are, because they can also do stuff that bigger companies can. So when we talk about strategies, when you measure the AI answers, that on the one hand, AI is answering based on this vast amount of knowledge, of training data.
Yeah.
But to get up-to-date data, it also pulls in the citations, the web results. It pulls in 10 to 30 contents, reads it fast, and kind of builds, and they have a high influence on the outcome. So if Nike pages are always mentioned or cited in the answer, it's more likely that Nike is mentioned. So this is what Otterly, for example, is monitoring, showing you, and after some time where you get statistical significance with your data, you see which of the off-page, but also your own websites are cited. And then you can decide for the strategy. And there could be digital PR. We all know that almost 20% of all citations, at least in one study that we did in September last year with almost 2 million citations, they were news and media. So digital PR is wonderful, because news and media is trusted.
Yeah.
Wikipedia, I call it the AI positioning. If you're on Wikipedia, we have a funny story. Like, we have another company, they were before us, they are named very similar. And first, AI always said OtterlyAI, this is the transcription service. And we're like, no, we're AI search. So since we have our Wikipedia page, it recognizes us all the time. So we see how strong that is. So that's another campaign. We know Reddit. And Reddit, for example, is for Microsoft. Maybe not the right way. But for this e-commerce, smaller, mid-sized company, they can go and answer and involve, hire someone, being very active, motivating their customers to be active there. Yeah. And so I think that there are various strategies that you can go in. There are a lot of channels, also, it's funny because, backlinks for me are gone, but now the new word for backlinks is brand mentions. Would you mention my brand on your site? Yeah. So we have, for example, partnership with a company that is reaching out to sites that you find in Otterly that are very interesting because they are cited a lot, and you reach out and ask them, can you include us Most of the time they ask for money, but then you can get your brand mentioned there. So in that sense, I think that the structure in general is for both very similar, but what they can do and how broad they have to go is different for huge brands. We also have one insurance company that is number 3 or 5 in whole Europe, but operating worldwide. It's totally different than a 20 people e-commerce startup. Yeah. So but more from the size, not from the process.
Got it. Very interesting 3-step method. I'll go a bit deep in the first step method. How exactly to do prompt research, and within that, how to. So for Google World, you have a Google Keyword Planner and other tools which gives you the volumes. Even the SEMrush and Ahrefs, right? They used to give you the volumes of a particular keyword and all. But in the AI world itself, like ChatGPT and Perplexity and these guys don't share the first-party data. So how do you estimate the volume, or what are the best ways of researching prompt? Number one, how to generate or get the prompts which are relevant, known branded prompts which are relevant for my brand, number one. And number two, how to kind of establish their statistical significance basis, the volumes where real people are searching it. And then third, what to do after that. If I just, I'm just breaking it down as a layman who's trying to implement the entire AI visibility and make it work for their brand. So how will they go about doing it?
Yeah, that's the question is very good, and in many cases I have discussions with a lot of SEO people because they say, hey, there is no real usage data. I cannot trust this process, but you have to work with what you have. That's my at least assumption. If you could wait on the sidelines until there is a search volume or an asking volume or a prompt volume. But I think as long as we don't have paid ads, ChatGPT and others will not reveal that. Yeah, then they probably have to, but let's hope at least. So even it's funny because even the search volume is only valid for the old traditional Google. It's not even valid for AI overviews. It's not valid for AI mode. It's not valid for Gemini. So basically, we don't have the data. Why it's also interesting is because Otterly was one of the first where we tried at least to build an algorithm out of these, let's say, the old world data, and kind of mixed it so that it's at least giving you a signal on what we believe from this data, how much volume would you get on ChatGPT? Because if someone is asking for running shoes, or for geo agents, then and this is the SEO keyword that we can measure. We see how often in the US per month on Google, someone is asking about geo agents. However, we can also assume that a similar, let's say, amount or is also like happening on ChatGPT, not from the amount. You have to kind of put a ratio between how often Google is queried versus ChatGPT. But in this ratio, I believe that you can at least have a signal. Yeah, it's an estimated intent volume, and we have to work with that right now. Yeah, there are different ways. Some companies try to get that from clickstream data, so they can also kind of assume. But in that case, I think at the end we have to wait until the AI providers are giving that to us. But what you said is, how do you do prompt research? And I think that's the foundation. And I often see that companies are stepping way too fast into kind of having some prompts, asking Copilot to create me 10 prompts, and then they're monitoring. And I think this is, if you build a weak foundation for your house, you know what's happening when a storm comes. Yeah. Nothing good is happening from that. So I believe that you should first of all take your the product categories that you have, and also the kind of personas that you're using. It is also relevant which country and which language, of course, and kind of thinking about strategically, what is your company, what does your company want to be found for? Yeah. And as soon as you have that, you can build either with AI itself. So, we do with a lot of kind of experience, but it's still synthetic. It's called synthetic prompts. And they are valid, because people are asking similar questions. You can use them, for at least from my perspective. It's an assumption, of course, but from this assumption, we did a second thing, which is, let's say, more human more real, we did customer service for our customers. So we're asking people, how would you search on ChatGPT for this or that product? And then we get real prompts. That's another way how you could do that. Or you go into your Google Search Console, and the queries that you have there, they're basically like a pyramid. So on the top, it's probably your brand or your domain or something. And the more you go down, the more the long tail questions that are asked on the traditional Google are there, and you can take them and monitor them. Yeah. So I believe with these approaches, you can get quite a good amount. So very important, non-branded and middle or bottom of the funnel. What I mean is, if you're Nike, don't ask for Nike. We have a saying in Austria, we are saying, how you shout in the woods, it echoes back. So when I'm asking for Nike, the answer includes Nike. So if you're monitoring for brands, you get a very high brand visibility of Nike, of course, because it's answering it. So you're biasing the reports, and you have to really, if you want to do that, you have to kind of quarantine these into not a comparison brand report. And the second is top of the funnel. What is a CRM? You said it before, Harneet. No citations, normally almost no brands mentioned. It doesn't help you, because also people are just want to understand, get the answer and go. They won't come to your website because of that. So I think that would be my foundation as for now, to create it and to monitor it. And yeah, I mean, one last thing is maybe I just saw from some sites, they're monitoring 10,000 millions of keywords in the current era, that you cannot afford that. It's quite expensive to monitor prompts, especially if you monitor them on 6 or 8 or 9 AI engines. So in general, I say take an amount that covers the most relevant topics and products in the countries that are your main target audiences or target countries, markets, and start from there and expand when you have built the capabilities and the skill level that you understand and know what to do, and then you ramp it up. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. So, and I guess that my next question, which you partially answered already, was that what is a good volume for a brand, right? The number of prompts or the number of things they should monitor regularly, and at what frequency they should monitor it, even in the synthetic prompts and their mentions and their visibility and all. So that you said that it should be not in millions or something. A few thousands would be good for a larger brand, and few hundreds would be good for a mid-sized brand, right?
I'm very simple-minded in that sense. I have a very simple formula that I'm always preaching, and that is per country, per language, per product category or topic, around 100 prompts. Yeah. If some customers don't want to afford that, they can use a little bit less. The problem is, if you're using 10 or 15 prompts, you never come to statistical significance. Our system is monitoring on a daily basis, especially for that reason. Sometimes customers are asking us, and actually we started on a weekly basis, and customers are asking, can't we monitor on a monthly basis? Then it's way more affordable. The problem is that the data is not statistically significant, and you have to leave the idea of what you had in the past with Google, where it was rather stable. If you were on page 2 in the second position, it wouldn't change directly. And if you remeasure it, you're still there. In AI, every answer is not deterministic. So even if we sit together in the same office, Harneet, and we're typing the same question, we get slightly different answers.
Right.
So we have to kind of more rely on the data, and the data that kind of gets statistical significant, in the sense of the brands that is more mentioned will come up in the rankings because their brand mentions are more over your prompts. So in that sense, it is relevant that you're doing it, at least for now, we see it on a daily basis. So you get enough data to also, so you can really rely on the data. Otherwise, we often see, like in some systems where you can weekly or monthly monitor, it's like the trend lines are going wild, from 0 to 100. And what should I do with that? That's not nothing you can use. So as I said, I would use in the beginning, you have a country and maybe just take your main target countries. You have a language. That's also important because language is almost more relevant than directly the country where you're measuring, although the location is also super important, but we can come to that later. And then times 100 is at least the small formula that I'm using, and you can calculate. We have customers from 100 to 50,000 prompts, so all is possible.
Okay, perfect. I guess that's very much, that answers our question. So if I shift gears a bit, and I guess one question which we were earlier also discussing. So what are the industries which should be, so let's talk of content, right? Because content again is still the king, right? Along contextualized content again is still the king. But now when people look at producing content for AI engines, right, with geo in mind, so typically, what are the industries you see which particularly have to produce a lot of content, and what formats of content are more AI friendly, geo friendly, and more cited across? Specifically, when we talk of content which is there on their own website and own channels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when I wrote, I think it's almost a year ago, I wrote a geo guide. And one of the first chapters was about, we are back in the Wild West. Why I'm saying that is because, for example, one of the most cited citations or URLs are listicles or top lists, which is a little bit horrible because, Google already kind of removed their authority and they were not so relevant anymore, but now suddenly they are popping up. I believe, and that's just an assumption, but AI is hard. Like humans speak like, what is the best running shoe? But what is best? Best, is it for trialing? Is it for a special problem with your feet? So humans are not defining how they want to rank by which criteria. So when you're asking about such unspecific questions, AI cannot tell you what is best. So it kind of takes the kind of cheat codes to pull in top lists and taking 5-10 rankings and looking at them and saying, okay, Nike is always number one, so I should also name it because I know they have running shoes, so I name it number one. So citations listicles are very, very famous in that. What kinds of contents? That's really a good question. And as I said, we'd have to think about off-page and on-page, and industries are also making it harder. So let's maybe start with the industries. So I saw, I've talked a lot to pharmacy. They're not allowed to kind of specifically describe often what it is, or have, even when they mention just a brand or even a color of their brand, then they can get sued by or get fines, not fees, fines. So I think in that area, if you're top of the funnel, you have a problem. It's very hard because, the linking of your content is not so relevant anymore. So in that case, I think that will be interesting. And I actually, for them, I don't have a full strategy what they do. I heard that sometimes they are opening their content repositories actually to ChatGPT, but not allowing it for humans.
Yeah,
which is also an interesting approach. So you will see that agents get preferred. Yeah, that's already a little bit futuristic, but it is happening already. They are doing trials on that. I believe that when we did with, as I told you, this huge insurance company. So they already have a massive variety of content or a massive amount of content. The problem is that marketers, and put your hand to your heart, we are writing fluffy content. Not very specific, not too many numbers because we don't have them. And the AI doesn't like that.
Got it.
So what we did an experiment. One of our marketers had to write an agency landing page for targeting agencies. And then we built a landing page creator on AI, where we hear AI slop is not good. And then it created it with all the geo knowledge, and it started with trust signals. It added statistics and numbers. And there is a study from Princeton where they kind of tested 10,000 prompts, and what do they have to do to get mentioned there. And actually they found out that one of the really helpful ones to get cited and even like parts of your content to be used in the AI answer is using statistics, quotations, numbers, and references. And our landing page generator is using all of that, yeah? And now guess which of is the human or the AI generated ones 7 times more often cited in AI? It is the AI generated ones. Or let's call it AI assisted, yeah? Because a human was reading it and verifying that the content is correct. But so landing pages can be very powerful. Also contents when you structure them, for example, with questions, etc., etc. I mean, Reddit, let's say it's not a content format, but could be interesting. And yeah, so I mean, these are the content types. Of course, I think that we have to change the content in a way that we answer questions in a certain way. And it's also called, the chunking, that immediately when you have a question, you're answering it, and it's not just, moved and lengthened over a whole article, but rather kind of when you have a concisive answer block, you have more likely to be cited.
Right.
So, yes.
We have also conducted a research at Rabbit AI and IcyPluto, and what we figured out, again, I guess, the content which is more likely to be cited. So we did a research and we coined a term called as semantic keywords. So what that essentially means is, basically, let's say when you're reading a piece of content, let's say article or blog, so we simulate just how embedding model or an AI model creates chunks. And then we understand whether every chunk is having a semantic meaning or not. Whether is it answering few questions, which the article, so what, as you mentioned, the keyword research, prompt research. So when we write, or our tool writes a piece of content, so it first does that kind of research where it figures out the prompts or the keywords you want to optimize for. So entire article has to optimize for that. But every chunk, is it answering some subset of those questions or not? If yes, that semantic keyword is assigned to that paragraph, just like you used to do keyword stuffing, which was a direct keyword. But here it's a chunk of paragraph where we kind of put it in the tool and find its semantic meaning, and then say, yes, it is semantic keyword, yes, or semantic keyword, no, and which semantic keyword it is having. And then when we write content, we are trying to introduce semantic keywords or semantic meaning in every line we write, whether it is answering certain frequently asked user queries, or it is describing a how-to process, or it is clearing a X versus Y kind of behavior or a brand comparison, or it is answering query, pricing, support, all the typically human things which humans ask, which are not generally available in the website content and stuff like that. And by doing that, I guess we've also seen a lot of more citations or more rankings on the AI side. And I believe, yes, as you said rightly, AI prefers to satisfy the users, and to satisfy that, they want very rich content, I would say. Rich content is full of relevant information, no fluff. Within small sentences, you have maximum information, and right kind of format, numbers, links where it can go and verify some authority links, not the backlinks, but the links you are putting as citations in your article. I guess that has worked for us. And one interesting thing which you were also mentioning, that why listicles are preferred. So I also have an assumption and theory for that. And the reason is because AI is hungry for data, hungry for entities, named entities. So if it finds a piece of content on a site where it finds a lot of entities and a lot of gossips about that entity. So I say AI engine are like gossip aunties, right? Or the gossip aunts who want maximum information in one place. So you'll prefer the person who does the best gossip, right? If I come to your site and you tell me about everyone, about yourself and your competitors, their pros, their cons, everything, I'll prefer you. Oh, it's good. I get all the industry news from Klaus. So next time I'll only call Klaus. So we have made this kind of analogy that AI engines prefer gossip aunts. So listicles, I don't see them as listicles, because within listicles we conducted few research, Klaus, and you'll be very surprised to see the listicles which are having generic content, they were not getting ranked. Listicles which are having fresh content, unique content, or very humanized kind of content, humanized in the sense that content which people will not find on the website. For example,
I
right?
love that. I love that. By the way, you have to show me the tool next time. So,
Yeah. So that
I really like.
Definitely do a partnership. We'll definitely, set up a meeting. Would love to see this India, Europe, UK kind of partnership coming again, right? Even after Brexit. So definitely. So we'll make it happen. I'll just ask Vinay to, set up a meeting outside of this, and definitely I'm very willing to partner, and because our thoughts match and our analogies also match, and loved your analogies, that your formulas, your 3-step process. And similar, this gossip hunt thing is what we have figured out, that if your website content can really be like gossip hunt, but it has to be interesting, right? It could be true or false, but it has to be interesting. But of course, because you have to preserve your brand identity, so it should be true or something which is not challengeable, right? So that kind of content, if you put it, AI definitely picks it up. And when AI picks it up, it picks up your brand mentions, whatever is written over there, as well as your citations, one of these 3 things. So eventually it will lead to your 0-click traffic, brand visibility, or AI visibility. So
I love that, because I did yesterday a research on our own brand just manually. I wanted to know what Perplexity thinks. And it was mentioning, oh yeah, Otterly is a low budget kind of for smaller companies and agencies. I'm like, damn it, why is that? And then I saw this top list, your gossips page of a competitor, where they mentioned us under, and kind of that influenced heavily their perception of us. Yeah, even the Wikipedia, on Wikipedia, you cannot freely write what you want. So you're also very limited. But actually, yeah, that's so true. Even if you don't like the gossip, and it's not true. But
whosoever gets the gossip, they gets, at least for now, they get top ranks in the AI engines, because they love it. They love it because you are not saying anything about your budget, right? It's also scientifically, you are not telling anything about your budget, but somebody else is telling. So for AI, some information is better than having no information. So they'll pick up some information wherever they get it. They won't check whether that is good or not. They'll pick up that information and they'll reward that page from where they're getting that information automatically.
I wanted to add one view, and I would also be curious what you think about it. And because whenever people say SEO is dead, and I also use that term because it's kind of gets attention, but I'm not truly believing in it. What I think is it's evolving. And kind of, maybe let's use a new term, but it also involves a lot of the existing ones. What it changes is we're not looking at the visibility from a URL perspective, we're looking at it from a brand perspective. However, when we're asking a prompt to an AI engine and it does a query fan-out, kind of, it creates several different questions and even kind of creates grounding queries, which means it creates short keywords to pull to start the search. And the search in most cases is probably Google. Even for ChatGPT, there are tests that they are now not using Bing anymore, but more using Google. However, what we also found out is it's not the top pages for when you would search for the same topic directly on Google. So it's not comparable. So this is also where it is not just SEO.
Right.
And but kind of, you have to keep both in mind. The one is the AI that needs your brand, that understands the intent. So you have to write in the way that humans understand it, but also agents. So we have to kind of satisfy agents' needs and humans' needs at the same time, which is super difficult. And then there is this search that also behaves differently. How do you think about that, Rag, about this search part? Like, how important is it? How should we kind of focus more on that, or should we focus more on the brand and intent part? I hope it was clear where I'm heading.
No. That's very much, I guess, that's a very good question. And I believe, as I was saying last time, and even in our previous talk, I guess we discussed that SEO is rebranded now, and search engine optimization should be more termed as search everywhere optimization, right? So you have to, the canvas of SEO is bigger. You call it geo, right? Or you call it search everywhere optimization. So now you don't have to be very, so your strategy cannot be myopic. It has to be overall, right? Whatever you are saying, you're releasing, maintaining consistency, maintaining originality, maintaining who you are at every place, right? And if you write organically, we've also seen that it it suffices all your use cases, and SEO just becomes a subset, because SEO was a set of few rules, right? And geo is even a bigger game. Yes, there is a correlation, but if people who are considering SEO versus geo, SEO or geo, I think they are just misleading the world. It's an entire bigger space. You can say SEO has kind of graduated to become an adult now, so has a family, right? It's at a bigger space right now. It got to optimize few things. So your entire, the marketeer's role, the brand's role, it becomes bigger. Not only keyword search, but prompt search, not only keyword stuffing, but also semantic meaning, not only one type of content or PR separately, but in entirety, SEO was adding value to user to communicate about the brand. Geo is also the same thing. The rules of the game have changed. I'll say 40% the game remains similar. 60% new entrants. There is wildcard entry. There are new entries which are there, and the game has become more interesting. But it's one single game again. That's why I don't even call it SEO, Geo, or something. I call it organic visibility, OV, right? So it's an organic visibility wherever, whatever you get it, and you have to do everything which is required as a brand, right? Whatever tools you require, whatever technologies, whatever people, processes, entirety, you have to have your own strategy for organic visibility. Within the organic visibility, you see you are a larger brand, you're already getting good traffic from SEO, okay, do geo. You're a smaller brand, you were never favored by SEO, no worries, geo is a new game for you. Okay, you were doing good in SEO and occasion geo, do something and create a much bigger plan for you, much pointed plan for you, where you're getting your visibility from somewhere, referral traffic also, and as well as you are ranking in the traditional search. So I believe it's like a new entrant, but which is not playing a new game. It has widened the game. The game is bigger. The rules are more, and the game is interesting. That's what we have seen. And
absolutely, Harneet. There is one thing that I totally agree. I also love how you coin your terms. And one thing that is interesting, when you said one thing that triggered something in me, that there was like smaller startups that didn't have SEO visibility, and now they can go geo. And there is one thing I would differentiate it, at least, because I have that sometimes. People are coming for a demo and say, oh, we never did SEO, but now we should do something there. And I'm like, okay, I could really spare this demo because that will not work out. The problem is, if you were good at SEO, you were good because you had your systems, you had persistence, you kind of, you did your stuff really well. You did keyword research well, you did content marketing well, you analyzed. These people were successful, and these agencies were successful in SEO, and they will probably be successful in geo. If you don't do your stuff well, and now it's, as you said, it's broader, it's wilder, it's more. And if you're not kind of going all in and spending time, focusing time on that, you will not be successful there. Yeah. So geo is not AI makes it easier. AI makes it harder for us from our perspective. Yeah. But I guess that's what you meant. Just wanted to bring that up. So you have to focus your resources on that topic and do it consistently, improving, and
yeah. Perfect. I guess you're also near to the end of the time. So thanks a lot, Klaus, for sharing your insights. So loved the insights, starting from the entire playbook, the trends which are changing the playbook, the 3-step process, the typical prompt research, whatever Otterly offers, and in the end, when what we discussed about content. So I guess that added a lot of value. Thanks a lot for that. And Vinayak, maybe we can then switch off the live stream. And then we can chat for 2-3 minutes also afterwards. Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess they have done it. Yeah. So they've done it. So thanks a lot, Klaus. Genuinely enjoyed the conversation, and I guess whatever we prepped, apart from that, we discussed a lot of things, and really enjoyed. And I guess every time we meet, there are some new interesting things. I believe we should write a research paper together or do some collateral together. Visibility is all you need, or how not to become the dinosaurs of AI age. That's what we are also calling. And you're also doing similar stuff. And then we have done a lot of research in IcyPluto on the so AI visibility is a small part of our thing, but we offer, as I said, end-to-end content solution, right? Even video generation, marketing generation, and all that stuff. So there can be a very good partnership, or there could be a regional partnership as well, because we are majorly active in the APAC and parts of UK right now. Right, we've not entered US right now, and I'm not sure about your target market. I guess that must be
Yes,
Europe.
it's US and Europe, and
so we could
actually also India. We have a lot of customers, also Asia to a certain extent in general. So, actually, it's the first time that the Asian market is really grows and grows. Yeah. One thing we haven't talked about, Harneet, before. I was wondering, but I didn't want to take the initiative, was actually about the future and our agents topic.
Okay.
I would have loved to talk about that too.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. Yeah, the time of the live stream was limited, so no worries. But I guess we had a wonderful show overall. A lot of insight for people. Happy to do a follow-up once again, because I guess the field is changing. And when you add the recommendations part to your Otterly as well, which you were telling me last time, I guess we can do another one as well. And that time we can also have, maybe if you want to bring a person, marketeers from the market who are really maybe your customer or partner, we can do a 3-4 member show as well, where we can add much more value and much more perspectives to the game. So
now what I want to do apart from that is really finding a place where we meet again and dive into. You show me maybe how your geo-topic agents work. You said you built them for the agency.
right.
We can think about